Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Masters of Bacon Roundtable, Episode 3. Uh, I think it's time for us to unmute our guest today so we can start speaking with them. I hope they don't say anything they shouldn't be saying.
When we were
Uh,
gonna.
and we are live. So, yeah, as said, welcome to the Roundtable, Episode 3, and today we are having a star crew of people. We are having me, Klerny, Eoekas, and TJ. So, yeah, guys, what about introducing yourself? So, you don't really need an introduction at this point, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So go on.
Yeah,
Oh wait, actually I need to advertise the stream first.
you
right?
have to advertise the
That's
stream.
Yoltzi. And buy a lot of boxes so he doesn't.
Yeah, buy the expensive ones.
I
can-
bought the Stormbringer bundle on
Oh, nice.
Jolsey,
Did you get the cloud?
and I didn't get the cloud. So,
Then
I-
you should
maybe
probably
should-
buy more.
Yeah, you should maybe buy from Nira now. Maybe then you get the cloud.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's rigged. It's only NA people that gets the mount.
Oh wait, that could be.
Yeah. So, and moving on, Nee doesn't have that much to say. So, Klerny.
Do I have much to say?
No, not really. You never have
I'm a
anything to say.
Fucking player. Give me something. Yeah, check out Jolt's stream, I guess. There we go. I mean, what am I supposed to say at this point?
Well, you can say that you are the Klerny now.
I'm declaring it now.
Yeah. That's
And most people, like if there's any new people here, they won't know the meme anyways. But whatever.
yeah. So
I'm declaring it now.
so Klerny and Nee so far. So we're going to Eoekas.
Yeah, first of all, a shout out to my boy Teldo stream. Always buy your stuff there. Other than that, Pearl player multi-turn you in blah blah blah. On to the next one, TJ.
Yeah.
I have a funny story. Obviously, I do all the casting stuff, but I am a newly partnered Twitch affiliate. So, if you'd like to go ahead and buy some loot boxes, hypothetically, you can now do it from my Twitch stream.
Yep. That was a sellout.
So, yeah, I don't think we should allow those.
Yeah. Oh well, who cares?
I don't actually stream, so it's kind of absurd that I'm a Twitch affiliate. I think Twitch tripped because I think I've actually streamed my own gameplay like twice, and both times Storm Ross was the only person that watched,
Oh.
and that's just because he's a really nice guy, you know. He likes to support disabled children. That's why he watches my streams.
Special kids. That's what we call them. Okay.
Differently talented.
So, and yeah, I'm Mr. 2, old BLC player, and now in Battle Right I'm a washed up bad player. So I'm transitioning into hosting talk shows, hosting tournaments, and stuff like that. And speaking of tournaments, what?
Poggers.
Puggers. Speaking of tournaments, like, we would have had an announcement right now, but we have to wait with it. So, I'm sorry, but we have some technical difficulties, and therefore we have to wait. Yeah, let's move on to the topics. Like, what do people want to start with? Today's topics are the tournament meta / esport, Fawn, and the free-to-play model.
I want to, before we even get into the tournament meta and all that, because I know it'll be a great discussion, but before we even get into that, I feel like it should be mentioned that at this moment, according to the Steam community, 20,000 people are playing Battle Right. And regardless of what your problems are with the meta or whether or not you think the tournaments are going in the right direction, that's pretty exciting, because I think it's fair to say that everybody here likes the game. Well, everybody here enjoys the game sometimes when they're not playing solo queue. And I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
So, for us who just phased out for a second, can you repeat what, in short term, what you want to discuss in this?
In the right now on the Steam community, 20,000 people are playing Battle Right. And that's really all I have to say. It's
Someone is
just that,
saying 21k. Sorry.
okay, 21k are
That would be
playing
even
Battle
better.
Right. Yeah. And to me, that is absurd because yesterday, no, 2 days ago, sorry, I was looking at the numbers and we were at about 2,000.
Yeah, 2000
So
peak.
that's an explosive growth, and especially because we aren't at a peak time right now, that's a sign I think the game's beginning to snowball. People are giving it that good word of mouth, and that's pretty cool.
We need to add that we have been a bit unlucky with the servers.
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah,
going
even
flawless.
especially with that.
Yeah, the servers
I
has
probably
been
reach
bad.
even higher.
The servers has been bad today, and well, it's not Battle Stunlock Studios' fault that the servers have been aching up, but
No, exactly.
yeah, 22,000 people you say are playing the game right now, and where do you see these people staying? Do you see why they should stay or how they should stay? Uh, like
Uh, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
I think the game has made massive improvements in that area. Definitely when I first picked it up, uh, at the beginning of the launch in the early access phase, it had big issues with player retention, right? There are crazy people like us who will play things just over and over and over to get better, and that's something I enjoy, but a lot of people aren't like that. And I think a lot of the stuff they've done with the UI, adding achievements, adding quests, they've made it much more tenable for people to stick around. But I do think, and part of the reason we're all here is esports, and I think that encouraging competitive play is a great way for Stunlock Studios to kind of show the skill ceiling, show how high these new players can climb if they can get good enough.
Competitiveness is pretty important in every game. I'm pretty sure, like, if you play Dota, this what is it called? The international tournament. It's like
Hmm.
the thing you look up to every year when you
Yeah.
play, and that's
Yeah.
like the big shit.
Yeah, even if you
Yeah.
don't even have a chance at being there.
Yeah.
Like all my friends that play Dota, Barfaros got like 2k MMR lower, yet the international is still something they are extremely hyped about.
Hmm.
And it's
I mean,
logical, of course. Every player. I mean, if you're playing a game, there's nothing to strive for. There's no esports. Then I don't know. There's no real reason to continue improving yourself if you can play another game instead that does offer that, right? There's
Yeah.
no if there's no ultimate goal. It just it's never really sustainable.
But in the situation we're in right now, we don't have a live leaderboard or official leaderboard. Uh, what should make people strive other than tournaments? Like
Well, right
how should we
now,
make people strive to be the best?
well, right now, as you said, we need in-game leaderboards ASAP.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where that has fallen off SLS's radar because back in like the beta, I discussed things extensively with some devs, and they said in-game ladder is high priority. But recently, when I brought up the same topic again, they told me that right now it is no longer high priority to put a ladder in the game, and I don't really know why they made that decision.
I think it targets the same group of people that have already kind of been sated. Like it's the same with in-game tournaments. I know you guys love them and I think they're a good thing, but they've never been something I've thought are especially necessary because the type of people that will play in every in-game tournament are the type of people that are already going to keep playing the game. They're the people that love competitive play and will go out and find opportunities to improve, to scrim, and those type of people are going to a different website to look up the leaderboard. They don't need it in game. What SLS has been focusing on is bringing in the people that maybe don't look for a leaderboard and the people that aren't big on competitive play but do still enjoy their game.
But there's multiple options for people that don't like competitive play. You have battlegrounds, which I have to say are
Yeah.
actually really fun, and
Hmm.
they've added casual queue back. So if you're afraid to
Mhm.
play competitive, then there's already options for you, and it doesn't take a lot of work for SLS to, let's say, officially buy whatever this Russian dude is doing and just integrate it in their own website, right? It's not a
Mhm.
particularly hard task, I would say, and then you would have an official sort of ladder um, without having to go to some sort of .ru site and having no idea what's going on.
I think he actually made a .com site now. I talked with him, and he said he would make a betterridestats.com instead.
Are people really that afraid?
Yeah, man, Nikita's gonna sit on the other end, getting all your passwords.
Yeah, it kind of looks dodgy when it's .ru if you've been on the internet for too long.
Yeah.
Nee, do you have anything to add to the conversation?
I mean, I just have the same opinion I still had a year ago. I think player retention is still going to be a big issue. They haven't really changed anything ever since beta. 600,000 people bought the game, and the concurrent users dropped to below 1K at some point. Nothing has really changed about that. Like the battlegrounds are like a nice addition, but and there might be fun every now and then, but I don't see anybody logging in for this for multiple months in a row. And the same issues we had before that still exist. They're inherent to the game itself, to the overall way they develop the characters, and not necessarily to the modes you have access to. Like, I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I don't think that all that many people actually play ARAM and, for example, in LoL. And if the game wouldn't be appealing to them at all, if they would still consider to continue playing the game. They play the game for different reasons, and I feel like it's the essential issue that this game had since the beginning, and it still has. It's the honeymoon phase is going to end at some point, and I don't think even if there are 21,000 people online right now, just because someone like Summit, for example, streams the game and has fun playing it. Yeah, that's nice. We all had fun playing this game for the first 1 or 2 months, but after that, a lot of people simply leave, and I don't see how that is. I don't see how the situation has changed at all. Like,
But
to me personally, I just don't see how anything got added that changed the situation at hand.
but what would you suggest be the solution then?
I don't
Well,
know if there actually is a solution at this point in regarding to unless you want to change the game from the ground up. Like, a competitive scene is one thing, but I'm just not 100% sure if that's actually enough. I think the game itself simply is the game itself has to accept that it's more of a niche title. It's like anime fighters and fighting games, right?
Mm.
Where like the game might be fun, it might be mechanically deep, etc. But it might still also be too punishing, too complex, and too annoying for actual casuals to enjoy it over a longer duration of time. And I think that's maybe something that people just have to accept, that this game is never going to explode. It's never going to be like LOL. I like LOL, definitely not, but not only not even like Dota, or maybe not even like Smite. I feel like it's more of a niche title, and personally, I don't really have much of an issue with it. You know, if we have 5,000 concurrent players, I don't think that's all too bad.
I think that's pretty good.
But I think people are getting a bit too overly confident and happy about the current player count.
Yeah,
And
I fully agree with that. I mean, I don't know if anyone reads Reddit, but just the other day I made a post that pretty much said the same thing. Like before free to play, we had a peak player count of 16k. Sure, it was during a free weekend. Before the free weekends, the peak player count was at 13k, and the amount of players playing the game up until a few weeks, months ago was only in the hundreds, right? But it just dipped above 1k again, and it's still that same game that hundreds of thousands of people bought, and
Oh
then
no.
oh no, we lost him.
oh, we lost me. That
I
screwed
don't want
up
to know
the
what that's
layout.
done to the
You're dead.
overlay. Oh no.
That screwed the layout completely.
Oh, it's
Oh,
back.
Okay, he's back.
Turn of the night.
Um,
Where was I? Oh
sorry.
yeah, right. So it's still the same game that all these hundred thousands of people bought and played, and ultimately gave up on. And I feel like unless SLS makes some drastic changes, it's gonna just be a repeat of what we've seen last year, right? Only with this time, we don't have free to play to look forward to as this potential saving grace. Like that's all we've had the past year, ever since the alpha. All we've had is free to play is going to come at some point, and the game can still be changed before that, and free to play can still save this game, right?
Yeah.
But we're now a year further. Free to play is finally here. It's still the same game that we all played in the closed alpha, right? Yes, we have a bit more movement speed. Yes, hit and hurt boxes are a bit smaller, but it's still the same game that has a complete lack of skill. Like, you just, after 100 hours of gameplay, you cap out on individual skill. You can't improve anymore. The only improvement left is for you to play with your teammates, work out certain comms and counter comms and positioning strategies, but it's all a bit meager as well. And then at that point, you're skill capped, and you can't do anything anymore. You can't individually improve anymore. There's nothing to strive for anymore, and that's the biggest issue that this game has.
So you think that the average player skill cap is reached within hours?
Within 100, 200 hours of gameplay, yes. If you play one check, you cap out on skill in it in that amount of time. You can't improve anymore.
Okay, TJ, you look like you disagree.
Yeah, I think I disagree with the premise. I think that uh, I'm not a good enough player, right? I am a diamond player at best. I hit champion twice accidentally last season, and I stayed there for a matter of minutes. But I still play the game and I still enjoy it. And the changes that SLS have made target me, and I think the vast majority of the audience, which is they added progression systems, they added a cleaner UI, they made it much easier to enjoy the game without having to be good at it. Because the things you guys are encountering when you reach the very top tier of the game are not going to be encountered by 80, 90, 99% of the player base. They are never going to get as good as you guys are. They are never going to hit the skill cap. And I know that it from the pro player's perspective or from the competitive player's perspective, it's very easy to go, man, how are people this bad? But most players are worse than me. I would trash most players that play the video game, and that's not a compliment to my skill. So the stuff you guys talk about with, there isn't a high enough skill ceiling, the movement speed's too slow, that's not really relevant, I think, to whether or not the game continues to have players over the long run. Instead, what matters is the stuff that they have changed. They've added new modes for casual players to just kind of float around in. They've added much better progression and just user experience. And that makes a massive difference. That made a massive difference to me and how much I played the game. There was a period a few months ago where I was really only playing the game once or twice a week. And I'm back to playing it 3, 4 times a week, at least daily, these last few weeks, because of the progression systems they've added.
But don't you think that
Because
that's just
it's
part of
all
the?
new for you.
Don't you think that that's just part of the honeymoon phase now?
Yeah,
Like,
No.
it's
it's all
something
new for
new, and
you.
you're
That's why you
interested
enjoy
in
it.
it. It's new, and that's why you want to do it. Like, I'm not even saying the game can't be successful, right? I mean, it already was successful, and I'm not even saying the game's ever going to be dead. I think, like I said, I think 5,000 concurrent players would be a good thing, and I think the game will always have that with free to play, because there are many people who are going to play the game because it's free to play, right? But and I'm not even like trying to doomsay that the game will die or anything, or that what they've done is bad or anything. Of course, it like adds to the casual experience. All I was trying to say is that just because the game has 20,000 players right now, that doesn't mean that that number keeps going up.
I agree.
I think it's
I
it's going to
have
go down.
I have 800 hours in the game and I'm not good at it. And I'd like to reiterate, I have 2,000 hours in Counter-Strike and I'm not good at that either. And that's the player that makes up the vast majority of the player base. And in any game, people who are as good at you as you guys are at Battle Right in any other game will also encounter the limits of that video game. You can ask a League of players, you can ask Counter-Strike players if they hate the games they are really good at
Yeah, but it
because
doesn't have
they
anything.
encounter the limit.
It doesn't have anything to do with your overall ability. Like the 600,000 people who bought the game, they didn't stop because they reached their skill limit or because they couldn't get
No,
better anymore. They stopped the game for
exactly.
different reasons.
Yeah, they stopped the game because there wasn't the stuff to keep players in the game. And that's the stuff that SLS has been adding that you guys consider not even an addition because it doesn't massively change gameplay. It doesn't need to because the gameplay isn't or wasn't the problem. When we saw a massive fall off after the initial beta release, I think that was because there wasn't enough padding around the gameplay. It wasn't a complete game yet. And that's now been added. They've tweaked and beautified basically everything. They've added a beautiful progression system, a beautiful league system. And I think that'll be enough to keep the average player in here for a couple of 100 hours. And that's all most multiplayer games, most successful multiplayer games do.
But
gotta say,
hasn't that already been in the game for a while now?
Yes. And we've seen the effects of that.
The numbers did not increase last time I recalled.
The numbers happen. Remember when Battle Right was at like hundreds of players? We've been solidly around 2,000 for the last month or so of beta.
At
I
peak.
think last 2 months. And that's been a pretty solid improvement from where it was at. And now we have a rush of marketing and people coming in, and I think those people will hang out because we weren't seeing massive declines during the last month or so of beta that we were seeing earlier after the patch. We'd see a patch and then 200 people online the next day. You go, well, shit, I guess the game just doesn't keep people. That's not the case anymore. And it won't be the case going forward.
like one thing that could be important as well is that like if you want to keep on playing the game, you always get like you still want to improve, right? There's not many players who keep on playing a game and they're like, I'm just playing it. Like everyone still wants to improve, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a thing they gotta focus on because I honestly think that that's very hard. Or like there's nothing really that makes a player keep improving. It's more like you want to improve, but there's like no help you can take. I think just adding like leaderboards could be a good thing because then they could see players that are good. They could ask them, just stuff like that, simple shit. Maybe something that has you can like click a button and you get into a high level game, like as an observer. I guess that would be adding an observer function as well. I mean, just maybe you can access that from the leaderboards. Like it should be just simple stuff like that should be added as well, and that doesn't necessarily.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can talk shit, but it was like gameplay as well. I guess you could say changing stuff makes it better. It's not obviously all, but you can't also just neglect the fact that, let's say, if they don't change anything, it's gonna be better. Because I think you can improve the gameplay much more than it is right now. For example, maps and stuff. You can add so much. I've had so many ideas. I know Nia's had very many ideas on how you can improve maps and stuff like that. I mean, there's very simple shit you can do.
And to be clear, I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I agree with you a lot on the improvements that can be made to gameplay. All I'm saying is that it's inaccurate to state that they haven't made significant changes to address the problems that were experienced on the beta launch. They pushed back the whole release of the game to make a series of changes to the padding and the progression systems in the game, and they've made those changes, and I think they will make a difference to the casual player.
If anything, I think
I agree.
grade system we had added way more progression. Like the grade system we had in alpha offered way more progression than what you currently have in the game.
Yeah,
I was the first grade 15. Just saying.
Are you still proud of that?
Boosted the rank 1 to overtake you. So
we remember Iva back then, Mr. 2.
Iva was so broken, it was ridiculous. Kong's synonym too.
I think as far as the grade system, I actually liked it more because I like having a solid number, right? I'm a very non-competitive person, so I like just having a number that reads, this is how good you are. But for somebody who cares a bit more about their rank, like Shadow Fury, my frequent co-caster, he gets really pissed off whenever his rank drops. So the fact that it's a bit more ambiguous and floaty makes it harder for him to rage at it. And so having a series of pretty symbols, there's a reason that every other game has it, and that's why the grade system, I think, it's a good improvement that we swapped over to better rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I think these rankings are better, like, in a way. I just don't think they are really pulling the full potential of it. Because for that, you kind of need a leaderboard that properly like sets it up and supports it. Because right now, it's just you're having ranks, but there's nothing more to it, you know? There's nothing like, oh, I'm so close to this now. Like that isn't obvious enough. You can't go in and check that and like actually care for your rank. It's more like, okay, I'm playing one game, then I see my rank for a short amount of time, then I play one more game, then I see how it changes. It's like I can't properly see how close I am and stuff like that.
That is
Mhm.
generally also a lot of information missing. I mean, you can't even see your
Yeah.
stats of the season, for example, right now in the UI. I can't even see how many games you've won or lost. That's something that should definitely be part of it. I mean, I don't really get why that isn't part of it, but I'd be kind of interested in seeing if I have lost, I don't know, 50% of my games or just 20% of my games.
Yeah, and like I said, I have 2,000 hours in Counter Strike where there are no information at all. Right? You have a symbol that represents your rank, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There aren't even equivalents to battle right stats
That is a completely
in
different system, though.
CS. And
Yeah.
well, it addresses a similar problem. And I agree that I prefer systems where you have more information. But I think you can go too far. So I think ideally you have the ratings, the leaderboard systems, the stat systems players like you want, but you make them an extra click, right? And to the casual player, you just present them with, here's a little picture.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
which
you
is
need
fine, but
to. You go
what
first, no.
what is the justification between putting the stats on the characters then? Because on your character sheet you see your win rates, right? So why shouldn't you be able to see them on the league? Like I think,
I'm
like
not. Mhm.
if a person, or like if the studio thinks that those win rates, percentage win rates, are important for the casual player when it comes to characters, then why isn't it important for your seasonal performance?
I mean, I'm not a member of Sunlock Studios. I can't explain their design philosophy. And I, for the most part, agree with a lot of the things you're saying about there should be more stats in game. I'm just saying that it is also good to have a more abstract view for the casual player, and I think it's good that they do have that, but I'd like them to have another option where players like you can get the information you want in game.
Yeah. So, like the thing I have with leaderboards and stuff like that. The thing is, we have battle stats or what is called the Russian side, but the problem is 90% of the community doesn't know about this site. It's only the top players and a few casual players maybe that know about it. So for the rest of them, they're looking at the game and they're like, you can't see where you are progression wise. Am I in the top 10%? What does diamond mean? And so you don't have this association with what you are. If there was a leaderboard and you saw someone is grand champion, and that goes back also to making grand champion something to strive for, that we talked about. But if you see someone is grand champion on the leaderboard and you can watch his games or you can watch his odium, you have something to strive for. Right
Mhm.
right now you have no idea where you are. You have no idea where others are, except if you actually go out and look for the information yourself. It's not fed to you, and I think that's an issue when you come in as a new player, especially when you come into a competitive game and you're like, well, what should I do? Like, the game in itself
Mhm.
is shallow in certain ways, in my opinion. Um, I feel like the game doesn't have as much depth as games as Dota does in certain aspects, but then we have the competitiveness of this game, and because it's so short games, that it should get people in and play and see where they get to. Uh, I lost my train of thought.
I feel like that's what TJ has been addressing, though. Like to the vast majority of the people, all these things don't really matter. They
Yeah,
just want to press
I,
buttons.
I mean, to be clear, I
but
think it's a great idea. I think leaderboards should be in game. I just don't think that it's. I don't think that it's
a
needed
priority.
to the same degree that it feels like it is to people who are as invested in the game as you guys are.
I don't agree.
But
I think WoW serves as a perfect example of how
exactly.
important leaderboards are. for players, because let's say we are rank 1 players in WoW, right? So we don't give a shit about things like tier 1 weapons, tier 2 weapons. But for people who for the first time reach 1850 rating and buy their tier 1 weapon, that is a huge milestone for them that they will be happy about
Mhm.
for weeks to come. Like, that's a huge improvement. And I think a system like that for this game, of course you wouldn't have items that boost your performance, right? But rating specific skins, like if you reach I don't know, a champion, you get a special weapon. If you reach diamond, you get a special skin for your characters that stands out from other people. I think that would be something that would allow players of all skill levels to really strive to improve themselves and find ladder play intriguing and fun, because they're striving for rewards that they can actually obtain and profit from in their opinion, their likeness.
And that's what actually wanted to go into World of Warcraft, because if people remember just vanilla, you saw a person in tier 3 gear, or you saw someone with rank 14 weapon. It was amazing. It was the best feeling ever. Like, you wanted to be that guy, and like that's what we need to strive for in some sort of way, for the more casual players to try and be the more be the more competitive one. Like, we need
Mhm.
people to want to be the top player, because I don't feel the game in itself is good, is keeping people playing. They need something other than that to keep themselves playing, if you understand what I mean. Uh,
Mhm.
I agree. I mean, one thing I could think of is like I think the game is good enough to like make people keep playing it for a little while. You know, the game itself is like it's good. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
like the only game on the market of its kind. So people are gonna play it for a while. But when they have played it to an extent where they understand it, it gets kind of boring. And then the gameplay isn't enough to make them keep playing the game. And I feel like I don't know, you need something to push that up so they get say, hey,
I mean,
we want to strive for this. I can if I can strive for this, I can keep on playing the game. You know, so they need something more outside
mhm.
of it. It can be a
I
little different in League and stuff like that.
I think you're right, and I think this is kind of a silly conversation because we all agree that having more sense of progression, having more things outside of the core gameplay loop that can keep people interested in the game is good. Um, I think the only thing is that a lot of things aside from leaderboards or kind of that competitive sphere keep people rolling in. A lot of people will not come back for leaderboards, but they'd come back for a new character. They'd come back for content updates. There's the reason why League of Legends has a new character like every month. It's that stuff works.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see maybe yes, add leaderboards. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, but also maybe keep pumping out casual content, add some items every month, add some
Yeah,
characters every
of
few
course.
months, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like adding content,
Hmm.
adding skins, whatever. Just something like that's basically understandable that you need to do if you even want to succeed. Because you can't
Yeah.
just say, I mean, it's very, very few games that can just, hey, here you have a game, and now you will like it forever. That's like,
Counter Strike.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, exactly. It's very few games that can
Yeah,
do that.
it
They have
is. It
such
is.
a good
Yes.
core. For example, maybe PUBG can do that because it's such a good game of its kind. But
I
I mean, it's
mean,
very few games that can do it.
the I think the test case for can you be exclusively a core gameplay loop is Quake Live, right? And you look at Quake Live, and it is the quintessential competitive game, and it has a great core gameplay block, and that's it. Doesn't really have much in the way of progression, and it will forever sit at around 1,000, 2,000 players. I think the changes Battlerite has focused on in the past month haven't been tweaks to core gameplay, which is a bit upsetting to people like you, but it's been tweaks around the core gameplay to add the stuff that Quake Live doesn't have. And if you look at actually the new Quake game they're building, Quake Champions, I think it's a really good it's a really good laboratory case because you can see here's Quake Live, exclusively a core gameplay loop, and here's Quake Champions, where they're trying to add every form of progression on the planet so that there's more than a core gameplay loop. And I like to see Battle Right working on that as well.
Yeah, there's so much in that way that can be
So-
improved on.
So yeah, I think we've been pretty much over this topic,
Mhm.
and I think we should move on to the tournament meta. But before that, I told you that we should be talking about tournament meta, and if we're talking about tournament meta, we gotta talk about tournaments. And we have an announcement from the Masters of Bagons. We want to announce that the Masters of Bacon 2 is coming this January.
Wait, what?
Woo!
So, yeah, there will be
PogChamps in the chat.
there will be posts on Reddit, on Twitter, on our homepage, on Matcherino. We are crowdfunding through Matcherino this time, and Battlefy will be our bracket system, which we have community pricing on. And for those who don't know, Masters of Bacon is a crowdfunded tournament in Battle Right that ran last year in November, and we are running purely on donations. Like, no money goes to us or anything. Everything goes to the prize pool, and yeah, that's it. Masters of Bacon number 2. Check it out. There's some links down below. You can check out our Matcherino site. You can check out our homepage. You can check out our Twitter and whatever. So yeah,
I think it's worth noting, I think the first Masters of Bacon was the first Battle Right tournament that I ever watched, and it's what got me into casting Battle Right. So thank you for that, you beautiful man, and good luck with the second.
thank you. And there
Is he
is
going to be chafing?
no. I'm already shaved, as you can see. So,
But
well,
I'll
still
shave.
have
We'll
till
buzz cut.
January.
Huh?
You still have till January to grow your hair out.
oh, true that. But also for people that are interested in collecting things, we have by SLS, thanks to SLS, an avatar that you can get for donating to the tournament. So there will be a bacon icon or avatar that you can get by donating to the tournament. Delivery will be expected in Q1 in 2018. So yeah, just wanted to get that out. And
Can I add a thing?
Yeah.
That most of our bacon tournaments have been very popular almost by like everyone. Like I haven't heard. I don't think I've heard someone say that it's a bad thing, or like that much was super bad with the tournament.
yeah, we got some
Okay.
really good response on it.
So I'm a vegetarian, right? So Masters of Bacon is kind of an offensive name to me. It's a great tournament, but can we please have a Masters of Broccoli? Would
No.
that be okay? No, okay.
What about
Absolutely
Masters of Bacon?
There is a pretty fun history about the name, though. I don't think we should probably not.
No, we should probably not get in on that.
Exactly, but it's a fun history. It's a fun history behind the name.
But the only thing I'm gonna say is manly bacon love. So yeah. Let's move on. Tournament meta. We had the French qualifiers not long
Mhm.
ago. Sorry for reminding you, Nia and Klerny. Um,
Rip.
and
Guess you're
yeah,
hearing us?
there
Okay.
was some upsets in the tournament. So, Klerny, do you want to get more into what happened at that tournament?
Fucking internet died in the middle of game 2 times. Ping was high.
Here are the excuses.
Mouse stopped working. I couldn't hear on my right ear. I mean, what more is to say? It was an unlucky day. I'm pretty sure my teammates had the same thing.
Yeah.
You got swatted as well, right? During the games, I heard.
Yeah, 2 times. Actually, 2 times. I don't know who called, but I'm pretty sure it was my opponent. So, can we change topic and go to the next?
So yeah, what I wanted to talk about is the meta right now. Especially now the phone is out, will phone affect that meta? First of all, the tournament. We saw a lot of tires. We saw some various Palomas. Because everyone was talking about that the meta would be melee dominated with Freya, but then Freya got nerfed, but did she get nerfed enough? Like, what are people's feelings about the meta right now?
Thank God they fixed Freya, as a first note, because that was ugly. But second off, and I got to see both sides of this because I casted Pro Rivalry immediately after the Fightzilla tournament in the EU. And North America, kind of as always, is playing, I think, a much more aggressive melee-focused composition right now. And I think it's two different responses almost to an increased lethality in the game because of the battle rights change.
Well, the last
What do you mean?
sentence. What did you say?
I think there's an increased lethality in the game, a lower time to kill. Things do a lot more damage a lot more quickly because of the rework of the battle rights system, and I think we're seeing that affect competitive play in some really interesting ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like the zoning fight is shorter, and you get more
Mm-hmm.
into the brawl. Especially with Freya, I feel like when I play against a Freya, it becomes a mess. Everything becomes a clusterfuck.
Yes.
Because someone gets pulled, now she's jumping again, now she's jumping one more fucking time, and now she has 3 fucking shields. And, yeah. But,
I think
Oh, you can talk. You can talk.
go
You can talk.
Klerny, go Klerny.
Okay, I was gonna say that I think Freya is like okay right now. I don't think she is as fucking insane as she was before. I think you can play around her now. I don't really think you could do that before. But I mean, I don't know. It is basically all I have to say about Freya.
Yeah.
Champion was ridiculous, and then he got nerfed. So right now, I think the only champion that is like, okay, this one kind of needs nerf because it's just
Taya.
ridiculous. Yeah, I was gonna come to that because I feel like that's the only champion that is that strong right now. Basically, if you wanna win, just fucking pick Taya.
how do you think the changes have affected kind of how you can control the map? I think maybe an unintentional effect of the patch is that it's much harder to define space. It's much harder to define an area on the map that you can play behind because everyone has a little bit more CC, a little bit more control.
New Eoekas, anyone want to get in on this?
I'm not 100% sure if that's actually the case. The thing is that the battle right change itself resulted in people being accustomed to a certain playstyle now. Before that, you had to pick your battle rights over time, right? So you had to play a completely different way in round 1 and round 2 because maybe you didn't have your round 3 battle right yet. And that changed the overall gameplay a lot. That changed the overall fluency of the gameplay a lot because some characters, for example, I mean, some setups just forfeited round 1 and 2 because they couldn't win against the opposition because they were lacking battle rights. And
Tractor
it's
beam.
different now. I think Rook, for example, was one of those characters who couldn't really get his space battle right, where he gets berserk before round 2. So in round 1, he was just walking around all the time. Was like, okay, what am I doing now in 2v3, right?
Yeah.
And now he has everything from the beginning. Because of that, I think it just looks faster overall because you have more rounds where everybody actually has everything they want. But of course, there also were a couple buffs that just overall changed the playstyle in general that just made it overall significantly faster. I mean, in Europe, for example, most of the teams that qualified for the tournament played Taya, if I remember right. Now, I'm not sure if I would say the character is overpowered. I always think that it's a bit easy to say that something is overpowered after 2 or 3 days when the meta hasn't been explored at all. Like, if people already say Raigon is really strong against Taya, well, then maybe there's something else that is really strong against Taya. Then having multiple characters that counter her, and then she doesn't even need to get nerfed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can say that already. We have Scrim versus Taya. We have counter-picked Taya, and like, I don't think we have lost to Taya yet. But I mean, I don't think that's how you can say if a champion is OP or not.
But
Well, the character might be too strong, but if it can be countered, then it's definitely not overpowered, I feel. Like, it might be too strong in comparison to the other characters, but I don't think then you necessarily need a nerf.
It depends on how you what you call. Yeah, I guess that depending on what you call OP and too strong also. I guess overpowered is basically too strong. It's kind of how you. But yeah,
okay,
I
guess it
understand.
depends a
Yeah,
bit on the definition.
yeah, I understand what you mean. But yeah, like it's not pick Taya. You need to pick Taya to win. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
definitely not the case.
Like
Definitely.
it was with Freya, basically, before she was changed.
but
Yeah.
but now that you're talking about if Taya needs a nerf, what if they instead buff the other characters? Instead of
I think that's
nerfing
a
her
good idea.
and they pull the rest up to her level instead of nerfing her down.
I don't think that's good.
That's not a good idea because the issue with Taya right now is not their overall kit, I feel. It's more the fact that she can stun lock you for 2 seconds herself and set up her own ultimate for like 100 damage. And if you do that for all the characters, then that is just not going to be an enjoyable experience for anybody.
Yeah. She can
Plus,
do it.
it'll be
I
hard
think-
to balance to buff all other characters as opposed to nerfing one.
Yeah.
That as well, yeah.
But the problem with nerfing one character is you can end up throwing that character completely out of the meta.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
that's
you need
kind
to
of
go for small nerfs. Like
Exactly.
Small nerfs at a time. They sit back, see what's going on. Is it still broken? You do a small nerf again. None of the completely dumpster stuff like they did with Blossom, for example.
I think it's worth noting battle right, and obviously this is unattainable for any large multiplayer game, but battle right for a long time did a pretty decent job of having most of the characters work well,
I agree.
and it stayed away from this character beats this character, rock paper scissors, except in twos. But in threes, it was pretty good as far as that goes, and I say that all, of
Yeah.
course, relative. But the further you can stay away from, well, they're playing Rygon, so we need to play the counter to Rygon, as opposed to they're playing Rygon, but they're playing it with this player, and we know this works against this player. That's more interesting to me than just playing rock, paper, scissors with characters. Because if you're casting a MOBA or playing a MOBA, you do get into that, and people aren't able to do interesting setups that they pre-prepared because they're just building off of what the other team is playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
to some people, that's what they want, kind of.
Those people are stupid.
I'm looking at you, Xanax.
Some people want that though, so
I'm sorry,
we don't really
Xerox.
have like we don't really know if that's the majority of the people or just the minority.
Mhm.
So just saying that that shouldn't happen, I don't think is actually the right approach. Since we don't
And-
know who actually holds the majority here. Is it the people who just want as many characters to be picked, or is it, for example, people who want certain characters be picked by certain players?
I think it's more interesting to treat the game as a fighting game, right? And in a fighting game, you have a player and they play a character because that's the character that they're good at. And sometimes they pull out crazy, out of nowhere picks to throw people off, but for the most part, they go, "This is a character I'm good at, and this is what I'm going to play."
we can
I
go
think that's
back to
much-
game design though, because that's not
Mm.
going to work at the competitive scene. It's never going to work.
But the thing is, though, that I just want to chip into that statement that while that statement might be supported by some people, it actually is. It basically is related to the ban discussion we had. And when we hosted a
Mhm.
poll, it was
Mhm.
basically a 50-50 from the
Yeah.
viewers that watched. So there's no clear indication what, for example, a viewer would prefer.
It was 50-50 from the scene, and it was 50-50 from the viewers. So even the top players were split.
Yeah, and I should specify, I think that, personally. Obviously, anyone can think what they like. Different opinions are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you would make the decision as like a company, for example, as SLS, based on the majority of the people, right? If, for example, 70% would prefer a system like that, where, for example, it is not treated like a fighting game, then they would go with
Mm.
that. I feel like, at least. It's a proper thing you do for the game, right?
No. Players are oftentimes very wrong about what will improve the game. And I'd like to see
Sure.
SLS oftentimes, even when the pros and all the casual players are yelling for something, go based off of statistics, go based off of what improves the level of play. And for bans, what I'd like to see is you run a ban tournament and you see how many more characters were played, how close the games were, and you go off of that data as opposed to going off of what you personally like. I was going to run a band tournament, but then I ended up in Poland suddenly. So who knows? Maybe that'll still happen.
Let me just say, I don't think one band tournament is close to enough to back up
Yeah,
whether it's better or
and
worse.
yeah.
You would be forced to run it for a while.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's also gonna be that like this team was fucking winning everything before, and now with the ban system, they are fucking one-trick ponies. They could only play that shit. Now with the ban system, they are not allowed to play that anymore. Now they're just losing. They are instantly gonna think it's worse with bans, right?
Yeah, but I think that goes back to statistics being the best way to figure out what makes the game more engaging.
Yeah.
And as a player, I'd like to think I know what's right for the game. I don't. I'm stupid. But Stunlock Studios has access to a whole bunch of back-end data, and we know they use that to make balancing decisions, and that's worked pretty well thus far.
Yeah.
Has it?
I mean,
Because Varus Paloma and Taya has been really strong for a long ass time.
I think. Oh well, I think that's a weird thing to say though, because fucking Varys Palom has been so fucking overrated for so long time.
I don't think it's overrated, but that's my opinion.
I mean, I think it is.
Has Varash
You go, please.
Paloma won any tournaments recently? Because I know they haven't done very
Yes,
well
yes,
in
they
NA.
won everything in the EU for a while. But
Hmm.
I mean, that also comes down to other things. That isn't because they comp. That comes
But
down.
they haven't done very well in NA. There have been Verash Palomas. I don't think they've placed higher than second or third.
Has anything else than serious Shifu Taya done well in NA though?
Yes. There have been some interesting stun combo builds. I'd have to pull up notes and stuff, but
In Mr.
Oh,
Ping's
yeah.
tournament yesterday, it was a
they've been doing interesting
Fawn,
things.
Yumong, and
Yeah, that was
Blossom,
different.
I think.
Everybody.
Yeah, but you were not allowed to play the same.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, true.
So you can't compare that to any other tournament.
I don't think we should be looking to the region that loses to another region with 200 plus ping for any clarity.
I don't think that's a fair statement either. I mean,
Hey, NA is now winning all of their own tournaments again. It took a while, but they sorted it out. They figured out how to win the tournaments. They have a massive ping advantage in.
Yeah, but I was not playing it.
Dude, can we
All right.
not make this video anything? Can we just
Actually, that's not
move
even
on,
true. I think
please?
there's
No,
the reason
but-
why the reason why the NA meta was so stale all the time was because the three people who played together just were mechanically way superior to everybody else who played the game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Even
That
if
was-
people were
yes.
like, "I want to nerf Sirius or Shifu," that wasn't the case. Arakuna, Averse, and Ninjas were just too good of a team to be beaten by anybody. It has nothing to do with the characters.
Yeah, I think so as well.
That's
I
all
think
there was to it. And the
they
only
would-
reason that is not the case anymore is because they split up over whatever childish reason it was, but they did. And that's why the
But-
meta looks a bit more interesting now again.
I think that should be reinforced, and I said it at the time. I don't think Shifu was as overpowered as NA was rating him. I think it was yes, he was a powerful character. Don't jump down my throat. Yes, he was a powerful character, but I think the fact that he was being played by the most skilled team in North America at the time definitely lent a bit more to how frustrating he felt to play against. And I would say that may be true for Varash Paloma in EU as well, because there are very skilled players playing that character set.
I personally don't even. I like the first thing you stated is basically what I said. I think they were just way superior to everybody else. It doesn't matter what they would have played. Had they mained Croak Jade, they would have won as well. What would have been that what they mained? No, I say if it had been what they mained. I know Arakun is Croak. This is bad, but had he put like 3,000 games into Croak instead of Shifu, then I think they would have won as well. Simply because they were superior to the rest of the scene at that point. And
Mhm.
the thing with Varash Paloma though is that people say that the comp was like really strong in the past, etc. I mean, in my opinion, also that's not necessarily true. Like when, for example, ETA happened, entered the arena, everybody was like Varash Paloma is completely overpowered, and the top four at the end of the day was one Varash Paloma team and three other teams. So
Yeah.
apparently the comp can't really have been that strong after all. Otherwise, the other teams wouldn't have been dropped out. The thing with balancing in this game usually is that, particularly in North America, there's just one team that is superior to everybody else, and that's because they win. It's not necessarily even the characters that they pick. And in EU,
And
it is
sorry,
I wouldn't say that's necessarily comparable in EU, but it's because I think that's because we just have more people who are farther invested into the game, or like they're like bigger invested into the game. I think like in NA, like there are not that many people. Like for example, Arakuna versus Ninjas, or like Niwa, for example, right? Niwa won the tournament this week, but last week Niwa won with Child and Jetta. But Niwa, for example, didn't play the game for a long time. Like he didn't participate in tournaments at all. And this week, second place came Stro. It's the same. He didn't play the tournament. He didn't play tournaments for a month upon end. So I feel like that's also one of the reasons why the meta can be more stale in NA. It doesn't have anything to do with characters or what's overpowered. No, it's just because they're just some people who are more committed and they play, and then they're just straight up better than everybody else, and it doesn't matter what they play.
I think the case of Newa and Stro is both interesting though, because they both took pretty long breaks and came back and were still really good. Both Newa and Stro are not at the level they were when they were playing every day. I think Newa's getting back there now, and Stro will get back there. But they definitely are still in the top players in North America, despite taking pretty long breaks. Newa less so.
Yeah, that is just their natural ability and their overall experience already, but they're missing that little bit now to the top that they maybe had before, and that is because of the break, and that's why Verse is still winning all the tournaments. I feel, at least. That's what I think. So it's not related to Taya being overpowered or anything. I think that discussion is like, it's pointless. Verse is just a superior player, and his team is just superior to the others. So it's not even related to him playing Taya or them playing Shifu. In that case.
Sorry, my cat's coming in. I'm not clicking my tongue at you. You're doing a great job.
You're a good boy, Nee.
I mean, yeah, I kind of think that's the same though. Like, if one team wins with one comp for so long that they're just winning and no one can beat them, I mean, at one point it comes down to like, what the fuck are the other teams doing? Like, I mean, maybe they are trying their best. They are trying to find the comps. They are maybe counter picking them. Just they can't win anyways. I mean, you gotta almost say that then it's because they are just better players, and that's why they're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Legendary's team was the most obvious shit.
I think the Onslaught Legendary team could have been at the top of the scene with any composition, and they could have convinced the entire NA scene, actually not any composition, with any reasonable composition, and I think they could have convinced the entire NA scene that that composition was overpowered by continually dominating them with that composition.
If they put the time into it.
Because, if they put time on it.
Because we saw the Croak. And
we've seen them pick other shit.
It became kind of a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
So it's more. I think they were just sitting on the. We are winning everything, so why the fuck should we adapt? So they didn't need to change their setup, and no one adapted to their setup. So why the fuck change of what is working?
Yeah. I mean, they have no reason to fucking change anything.
Yeah, the one that are winning everything doesn't need to change anything. It's the rest of the people that need to adapt.
You say that, but they changed their whole team. So
that was because of personal reasons, though.
Yeah, that's
yes. I'm making a joke, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
But then again, they also disbanded teams for one tournament loss before, so maybe it actually was not. You never know. Like when Verse, for example, started to play with Stro, after they lost one PL tournament in the final, 5-4 on the last map, they were like, okay, disbanded.
Please, Arakune, come back.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see him again.
Yeah, but regarding...
I sent him a picture of a happy raccoon just earlier today.
Of a happy raccoon?
Yeah, he was in the Battle Right Network thing,
oh, yeah.
and he told me the game was failing him, and I sent him a picture of a happy raccoon. He's around.
And you're banned?
He'll be back. Am I banned? That would be sad.
Nah. So, yeah, I think we've been pretty much over the tournament meta. Maybe Taya is not as broken as everyone thinks he is, and
I just think it always needs more time. People are like really fast to judge things and are like, this is overpowered, this can't be countered or anything. and then you give them like a month to adjust if they actually have if they actually have like an incentive to adjust, right? Like a tournament with a proper prize pool, and they're gonna find solutions. They
Let's just
always
say,
found solutions in the past.
just because a character isn't uncounterable, it doesn't mean it's not. That doesn't need to receive nerfs. Just because you can't, like, I think there's every character in the game you can pick. Yeah, I can pick this comp and this character becomes so fucking useless. I mean, you can do that to every. So basically, if you're gonna select that, yeah, then no champion is.
Holy shit, guys! Rifle Town's in the chat.
After was dead.
It's return of the champion
Wait,
town.
Rifletown is alive?
He's
Apparently.
alive.
So,
Haven't seen
I
him.
just want to address Bacon.
Well, that's good.
Mm.
I'm glad you're living up to the title of the channel, if nothing else. Interestingly, we've now been reclassified as a social eating stream. But I'm certain Battle Royale people will find us anyway.
So, yeah. I feel like we should move on. Now that we talked about Tyre being maybe not as OP as she is. Fawn! And here I want the viewers to get involved. There's a straw poll in the description below asking if is Fawn OP and yay or nay. And so far we had 10 votes only, and we have 6 yay and 4 nay. So,
Whilst that poll's going, I'd just briefly like to interject and say that Battle Royale has just hit 25,000 concurrents in game.
holy crap.
Well, really? Did they fix the server
Yes.
issues? Or why did it go up so fast?
It must be the server that are fixed.
So that's a new high, obviously, for the game, and significantly for me, that's a high over over the last day of free-to-play release, and that's good because growing's nice, you know, upward lines.
Can I say one thing? I'm gonna put a bit of shame on it, Sakoi or Eoekas, whatever you want to call him. He
Sure.
made a bet with a certain.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna name any names, but he called that Battle Royale free to play wouldn't get reach over 4.5k players.
You poor man.
And let's just say everyone said that was a bad thing to say, because everyone thought everyone was 100% sure it's much higher.
I wasn't, and I said if we hit around 5,000 the first day, I'm going to be happy. So I'm very happy because we blew that way the fuck out of the water.
Oh, I thought everyone, like, I'm pretty sure most players said over 10k at least.
Well, you guys are still smarter than me then. That's normal.
Okay, let's go back to the topic. Fawn. It's Fawn OP, and but before Fawn is OP, why do you think that they have retained Fawn as he was in BLC? Because right now, it's Fawn from BLC. He has the double ranged M2. He has the M1 that does increasing damage over time. Then it pulls instead of reducing damage, but you can weaken with a battle right. And the space is almost the same. The Q is a pull, and it doesn't hit trances now. It doesn't trigger trances, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And the E is the end cap, and R is still shield, and the ulti is still ulti. So, are they maybe trying to make it more BLC-like with the new character?
Hopefully. I mean, it's not much to say. BLC characters had better skill sets. They should have done this way before with other characters they have added to the game. It's it's not much to say in my opinion. Just like BLC characters, they had the better skill set. They had a more fun skill set. They had a more diverse skill set from like every character to character. Everyone didn't have the same directional shield, you know?
Yeah.
They had different shit. And I think if they're starting to copy a bit of BLC characters, then yeah.
And it's a melee character without a counter or a shield, like on normal abilities. It's actually fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think not to give any credence to the idea of the Battle Right original characters being better. I think that's definitely untrue, and I've been very frustrated by kind of the ability overlap in the past as well. but they kicked off Battle Right aiming to be more accessible. And I know definitely one of the more overwhelming aspects of BLC was that every character did completely different things, and if you're playing him for the first time, you'll have no idea what any of the things mean. So if you're coming into Battle Right, you have a stable of characters that all play not exactly the same, but reasonably similarly and reasonably easily. And I think now they've done that, maybe we can branch out a bit. And I do think the last few characters that have been added past, I'd say, Rygon, have all been more interesting mechanically.
Yeah.
I think
So
Raygun was pretty nice though, because I think
I
if
love
I
Rygon.
remember correctly, like when Raygun was released, he was still really fun character.
he was a fun
He's-
character,
yeah.
but if you were Reaver main, I can't remember how much Reaver you played, Klerny.
Don't remind me, I fucking hated the character.
Yeah. But Reaver, if you were a Reaver main or played a lot of Reaver, you were disappointed that you didn't get Reaver. Like the small stunts, the pulls, all the kick, like in caps. He doesn't have any in cap other than the EXE now.
Let's just say, I think everyone else who wasn't a Reaver main is pretty happy they didn't
Yeah.
put Reaver into the game. 'Cause
Reaver
was
ridiculous. Reaver was ridiculous. I
You
agree.
can't.
But
Yeah, you can't just say every fucking BLC. Of course, when I say BLC characters, I hope they like that they were better than the Battle Rate characters. I don't mean everything. Of course, there is things on every fucking BLC character as well. You can say, yeah, this was fucking stupid. Like this is stupid. Of course, there's on every fucking game.
yeah.
But we have an anime boy now, and that's pretty cool.
An anime
I'm
boy.
pretty.
Oh, Raygun.
Yeah. How did you? Yes, that's the only reason Averse is still playing the game. He would have quit if it weren't for Rygon.
Yeah, but Fawn. Let's talk about Fawn.
Mm-hmm.
Is Fawn too strong? Like, I know Nee and Klerny, your teams has been playing it. I don't know, Eoekas, if your team has been trying out Fawn.
No, because it's banned tomorrow.
Huh?
It's
Thorn
banned
is
tomorrow in
banned
the
tomorrow, so we didn't see a point in practicing yet.
Ah.
Yeah, it's banned because I guess that doesn't matter really. It doesn't really matter why it's banned. I guess it's just banned
Oh.
for reasons.
Well,
I
that kind of ruined the discussion, right?
Well, no, because I still think Thorn is obnoxiously OP and Klerny disagrees with me, so I'm sure we can have a discussion here.
Discussing with Sakoi about the character. This is gonna be fun. I'm ready.
So, yeah. Your statements, Klerny?
I mean, I'm not saying that fucking. I think Thorn. The only thing I think Thorn is too strong with is maybe you can make his his pull transable. That would be one thing. I don't think it's necessary for the overall balance of him. The only thing is he has one right where he reduces the damage and healing by 20% with thorns, and that's the only thing I can think of that's too strong. But I don't have any problems with the hero overall. Like I think he's good. I think he works. I don't think he's too strong. I think he seems fairly easy to counterpick. That's all I'm gonna say.
So
I
you don't think that having a 2.5 second range CC is too strong?
I think it's very reactable though. So I don't know. I don't think it's that strong.
Okay. Eoekas?
Well, my biggest issue with Thorn is, of course, the fact that he has two abilities that you can't do anything to avoid except using an immaterial. So either space the immune shoe or other side, because you can't dodge his pull or his croak stealth into stun in any meaningful way other than an immaterial. There's nothing you can do about either of them. And then he has a high self-sustain, which of course is logical because he's originally a tank, but then at the same time I don't understand why he has pretty high sustained damage as well, which is not very tank-like. And ultimately I don't really understand why he has a glutton shield instead of, Torn R.
Yeah, he has the glutton shield from BLC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine though. I think a bigger problem is that every other character can renew the shit on it. I don't think it works as intended. For example, I'm pretty sure this seed can be Like you can cast the seat, hit forward with it, then you'll go then go into camouflage. You can cast space on it as Rook, and you get Berserk and so on. I'm pretty sure that's how it works right now. So I don't know how fucking strong that ability is, but yeah, it seems very
Yeah.
counter pretty hard.
So, yeah, you kind of disagree, but one thing, Klerny, you said is weaken effects, and is weaken effects in this game too strong? I've been thinking about this lately, that there's a lot of weaken effects in the game that suddenly got added with the new battle rights. For example, Raygun Space now weakens, and it's 50%. Is it too much that they're adding all these weaken effects?
No, I mean the only thing that I don't think it's like weak, and I think it's fine. It's just that healers are getting way too punished for it. I think that's the only
Yeah,
That's the only
weekends are
thing.
so strong against healers. It's
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
you
yeah.
do-
I mean,
like
I
if a
agree.
serious transfers, spaces on you, and he hits his M1, it's game over. Like you can't really recover unless you have a dispel.
And it's the same with Raygun. Raygun Spaces hits two people. They both have weaken on them for 2.5 seconds for 50%.
Yeah, but the problem isn't the weaken. Let's just put it like that. The problem isn't the weaken, because if you're a ranged player, you're gonna have CC, so you can still get him off you.
Yeah.
If you're a healer, you don't have that same luxury. You have one iframe that you can use, and you can't do much while you are fucking weakened as a healer. If you heal, you waste healing stacks on basically things that does nothing. And if you fucking deal damage, you're gonna deal less damage. And if you're other heroes, you still do enough damage to make it somewhat reasonable to have a weaken, right? And you have more CC overall. You have knockback. You can weaken him back, right? In reliable ways. Maybe that's what they need to add to healers to compensate for it. I don't know. I don't know if they need, because every healer fucking seems to be DPS snows. So I mean,
Pearl is a
I don't know.
melee DPS.
Now, we just... BLC, Alchemist, had weaken.
I've
And
wanted that for a long time. You
yeah.
know. I think they should change out that injection to what it was in BLC. That would be way easier for Lucy. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Lucy's fucking super bad right now. I don't think she's super good either. I think there's other healers that are way stronger, but I'm just saying, overall, healing stacks it making weaken so fucking strong against healer, and that's something that should be looked into.
I
That's
think
basically my opinion on fucking weaken.
I think my issue with weaken is that it's a little bit it's just unfun to play against, right? If you're hit with weaken, it's almost better to just not play the game for a few moments. And I don't think that's an ideal situation. I don't think it's a fun ability to play against, and I don't think it's a fun interaction to have, really. I'd like to see more interesting CC.
Yeah. So, sorry for bringing us a bit off topic. I just really wanted to hear people's opinion on the weekend. Because I just feel like they have added vegan to so many characters now that it's ridiculous.
They did.
Yeah.
It's the easy cop out to make melees viable. That's why
Yeah.
they did it. They saw it worked with Barco. That's why they did it for everybody. It was the easy solution. Because
Yeah,
it's a
what do
really
you
strong
guys-
debuff.
What do you guys think about giving more characters an equivalent to clarity, a cleanse?
No,
More of the
holy
supports
shit.
having that ability.
Arcane Disruptor for everyone.
Hacking
You
Disrupt.
would have to rework most of the characters because it would make a lot of characters way too strong.
I mean, you can.
Yeah,
I
and
think you can
I-
only have such an ability on very defensive heroes. I don't think you can have it on the offensive heroes. It would be way too strong.
Mhm. I think it would be an interesting. Obviously, it shouldn't be just blanket added to everyone. That would be stupid. But I think it would be interesting, maybe on future support characters, to have more support characters with a cleanse, because then you can go into, and this gets back to the counter picking discussion. You can go, they have a melee stack, or they have characters that will have a lot of weaken. Let's roll with a support that can apply a lot of cleanse.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it forever. I think they should fucking go away from what they're doing with supports right now, where they're just, hey, we're making supports. One thing, they do more damage. They don't have any fucking defensive capabilities at all. They're just gonna do a lot of damage, and their healing are gonna be mostly for myself. I'm not gonna heal my team that much. I'm just gonna deal insane damage. That's what I can help you guys with. I think they should move away from that and make healers fucking or like supports, actual supports. And then
Yeah.
I think more supporty abilities are necessary. I don't think like fucking giving all the rights that makes him do more damage if he does damage is a good thing. For example, I mean just stuff like that. I don't understand it.
So you want more defensive options instead of offensive
As a healer, yes.
as a
support,
healer. Yeah.
I guess
Obviously as a healer, because melee, if you play Raygun, for example, getting 500 protection every game,
Yeah.
is defensive enough. But
I'd like. Sorry.
just go.
I'd like to see more interesting utility on a lot of supports. Like one of the things that I was super excited about, the people that were with me when we discovered it and how cool it was at the time can attest to the fact that I was really happy, is the new Thorn EX Burrow, right? He carries people through. He basically brings other people into his iframe. That's an interesting defensive ability, and I'd like to see more stuff like it that's maybe not applies status effect, right? Right click to
Yeah.
apply status effect. I'd like to see more stuff like that. That the next support character can do more interesting things in terms of moving people around, getting them into good positions, that type of thing. That maybe is a bit more complex and isn't right for the beginner characters, but on a more advanced support character could be used really interestingly to say make it easier for melee characters to get in range.
But we
For
know
example,
we know the
Grimrock in DLC.
yeah, exactly. Grimrock is the next healer that will show up, and he can use his portals
Mhm.
to save teammates.
Yeah.
Maybe they
And
will add that in Battle Right.
It's a good
Mhm.
it's a good support ability. Yeah, I mean, more stuff like that needs to be added. Not like, here I'm gonna do this, you'll do more damage and you'll slow the enemy team. Like you're not gonna. Of course, you're gonna boost that ability because it does damage. It is basically gonna outtrade any fucking one you're commentary. Like you're gonna make. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think you should make those abilities the main thing and make them stronger. I think you should make abilities that are more interesting in a way where they're actually supporting and doesn't apply that much damage. Maybe
Mhm.
I mean there's so many ways you can improve it. I don't see why you fucking give everything more damage only.
I agree. High five.
Sounds
No?
good. Yeah, high five.
Let's go.
Agree with it as well. Oh shit, I didn't see. Here you go.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, and the cringe fest is over.
Hell yeah.
I have to. You brought me on a podcast. I have to supply some cringe, or I don't have a purpose.
True that. So yeah, we kind of got sidetracked from phone, and we're kind of starting to run out of time. So I think we need to get onto our third discussion, which is gonna be first of all, I'm just gonna check the straw poll. Yeah, it's still only 10 votes. Oh, I haven't updated. It's actually 46 votes. 27
Mhm.
people says that phone is not OP, and 19 says yes.
Wait, really?
19 people
Yeah.
picked the correct answer.
19
I feel
people
like-
said yes.
I felt like fucking wherever I go into a stream, was watching Jolt stream today, everyone is fucking spamming that the character is OP. Like no one's saying yeah, he's not that good.
Maybe you just convinced them, Klerny.
I mean, I'm saying that Born isn't that strong, so. I mean,
Exactly. You just convinced them that he's not strong.
how? I just said, okay, maybe.
No, but yeah. Next topic: free-to-play model. Overall thoughts on free-to-play model? Is it good? Is it bad? Will it keep players playing? What is the overall feeling about the free-to-play model?
I think it's workable. Like, I don't think it's a bad model by any means. My issue with it really is that it does. I think the game's strength is much like a fighting game in that you find a character that you like. I have over 90% of my 1,000-something hours on Pearl. She's the only character I play most of the time I play the game. And if I had to unlock Pearl, if she wasn't the character I was playing from the beginning, I maybe wouldn't have stuck with Battle Right as long as I have. So that is a worry I have.
Yeah. Nee?
So you're saying you want to have all the characters available?
No, I'm saying I want to have Pearl available to all players from the beginning.
What?
That's a,
Because she is the best character in the video game. No, yes, I think it would be interesting if there was a different
No,
monetization
isn't she already
strategy.
available? All beginner characters are
I don't
free,
know.
right?
I don't know. But I think it would be interesting if there was a different monetization strategy that let everyone play or try everything from the beginning, in a more easy way.
I think you can though. Playgrounds, right?
Yeah, you can try them, but
Oh, but you want to try them in game.
Yeah.
Playgrounds won't give
I
you
mean,
a
that's
fee
something.
for
That's
a
something you
character
can improve
release.
though.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very different monetization strategy and a much harder one to implement, because then you need to, I guess, pump out enough cosmetics that you make your money there, and that's hard to do. So I do respect that Stunlock have gone for a strategy that I think will work and isn't that harmful to the game.
Let's just say the longer people take time finding what they like, because I mean, if you don't like, if you play characters you don't like, you can't really say that. No, you started playing the character you liked from the beginning, so you're like, yeah, he's way funnier than every other character, or fucking she, whatever Pearl is.
Pearl is.
Something.
That's it. She is.
I don't care really. But like, I mean, that you get to try those characters in the beginning, that's one thing. But you got to remember, those players who start now, they don't know what character they will like, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, in one thing, the longer it takes for them to realize, and the more wrong steps they do, the more money SLS can get from it, and the more they will play the game to find that character.
Won't they just quit the game if they don't like the characters they have?
That's pretty much also the thing I would say.
I think the more characters a new player can be briefly exposed to, the more likely it is they stick with the game.
I think one thing is though, if they are, I don't think many anyone. Okay, I don't think many players are staying in the game just because of this one character. They need to like the game as well.
I wouldn't have stuck with the game if I hadn't fallen in love with Pearl, and not in that way. Thank you, Batman, for ruining that phrase. I think that the fact that I really just enjoy the mechanics of Pearl is possibly the only reason why the core gameplay loop sticks with me through a period where there wasn't anything outside of the core gameplay loop, right?
Yeah,
There
but would
was
you
a
say that if they added like more skins, more game modes, and more stuff like that, more champions? Because you got to remember, when you played, really nothing in the game happened at all. Nothing were updated and nothing were added in that regard. Would you say the same if it was now? It's a very hard question to answer, right? So I mean, it's very hard to know whether one champion would actually do that much. That's what I think, at least. I'm not saying either one is correct or wrong.
I do think everybody has one character they prefer vastly among every other character, and I do think that if they weren't able to find that one character, then it would affect the staying power of the game. So the question becomes has SLS built the model well enough that you can effectively find that character? You can stumble through the rotation or whatever, end up with a character you like, and play it in time.
Yeah, of course you need to find it in a reasonable time, but I'm saying like that you from the get-go get to test every character easily and just like, yeah, test every character. Okay, I think this is the most fun, and I would just play it. Then they will come to the point where, okay, this game feels a bit stale. They will come to that point faster. Is that worth the trade-off from maybe they need to play a bit more with characters they don't like because they haven't found the one they like yet? I mean, there's got to be some balance between, I think. So you can't just from the get-go have every character unlocked. I like stuff like that. I think there gotta be still some balance between it.
Of course you can. I mean, you see how much chests they sold during early access to players that have all the characters. You have people that buy hundreds of chests at once. I don't think those people are completely sane, but they're out there, and SLS has made a ton of money from chests and stuff, and selling ducks, and like Nye here bought a duck. He can clarify that. So
'Cause it's
even if you have
adorable.
all the characters, people are still gonna be wasting money for pixels, and I think. I mean, Dota offers all characters for free, and that is a huge factor in people deciding to play Dota over League, for example.
Yeah.
I think the monetization model is fine as long as people can unlock new characters at a reasonable rate. I think the game should not be making its money from people buying characters.
Oh no, of course
Ideally, sometimes they make money from that, but the vast majority of the time, if I'm feeling like I should have a new character, I should have enough credits or be close to enough credits to be able to unlock a new character. Because I think if you end up like Heroes of the Storm, the fact that it's $5 and 8 bazillion credits to unlock a new character is part of the reason I never liked that game.
Yeah,
Because
the
it's
monetization
just
in
too
that
high.
game is high.
I don't know how it is in Battle, right? Because I've only played with the accounts that have where I have all characters from the beginning on. So I don't know how fast it actually is, but I mean, I think it is fast enough.
I also think.
I
Sorry.
don't know how fast it is, as I said, but I just my feeling is that it's actually not that long because I know the fucking prices go so different. I know some champions are like you can get them just in a few games, and some characters take a bit longer, you know. And I mean, I think that's fine.
I think the fact that it also has $20 and you get everything is a really good thing, and obviously that pack will become more and more of a good value as the game increases in roster.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think
$30
it's
now,
good that
though.
you can just buy the game.
Pretty sure it's $30 now.
I'd pay 30
$27.99.
bucks for the game. Yeah.
I think that's cheap as well. So
Yeah, you're buying the game. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you bought a Titan package for 99 euros or something. I
No,
don't
about
think you
two.
know what is cheap or not. I think 30 euros to unlock characters is pretty big amount for quite a lot of people. And yeah, I don't really see a reason for SLS to really stick with that decision unless they are really focusing on that short-term income.
But you can play the game, right? It is a
Yeah, if you like Ashika,
most.
you can play the game.
I think I think the term coined is AA game, where it's a game that's in between an indie game and a AAA game. And I think that's where Battle Right is. And most of those games are around 30 bucks. The upside Battle Right has over every other $30 game being released at around this price point and content is that you can play it and you can spend your time or your money. And I think that's a good trade off so long as they make that a fair trade off.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of fair because, as I said, I don't think it's too hard to unlock characters either. So I mean, I guess spending 30 is just because I want every character faster. For example, in BLC, arguably it was pretty hard to get all the characters, right? I mean, I think it took some quite games if you wanted all characters. Because I think in the beginning they were pretty fucking expensive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they were. And then you also
BLC
needed
was
to get
16,000.
medallions.
Yeah, and I remember if you wanted all characters there, you had to pay a shit ton of money. I mean, I didn't pay a single fucking bit in BLC ever. But
I
I
did,
mean,
and then they banned my account.
I mean, going out on a limb, I'm going to go ahead and say that when you were playing BLC, you were young enough that you had all the time in the world,
yeah, that's true.
and you threw that all into BLC.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You can spend either your money or your time, whichever is more important to you, if you have the disposable income. You know, if you work even a part-time job, $30 isn't a big deal for hours and hours of entertainment. So I would
Yeah.
absolutely throw that out. But on the other hand, if you're a kid and $30 is a big deal, that's all the pocket money you're getting for the next month, then you can spend all your time instead, and that's fine. As long as the trade off is fair and one side isn't heavily weighted, Battle Right wins either way.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I hope it's well balanced between. As I said, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. So hopefully it is.
Yeah. Lee, you have been awfully quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it's always a bit naive to look at this sort of model and just argue it from a competitive or player standpoint. One also has to consider the fact that champion rotations, for example, make people come back. If they can't test all the characters week 1 or week 2, they have to wait and then they log in again. I think from like a fiscal standpoint or generally economical standpoint, it makes sense to have this system they have right now, even if it might be annoying to some people that they can't test everything. But like just because Dota handles the system the way it does, it is different. One cannot compare like the game of like an independent developer to what is basically Valve. People play the game. Valve can do whatever the fuck they want. People are going to pay money anyway.
And Valve wins even if they don't make money on Dota
Yeah, exactly. And League
specifically.
of Legends, for example, runs a similar system to this. And they're kind of like, even though they give you the illusion that you don't have to spend money on buying characters. I mean, technically speaking, most
You
of the
have
casual
to.
players, they are going to spend money because they also have to spend the in-game currency on runes and shit. So they have to spend money on the game. And it's the reason why people come back. And even if from a competitive standpoint, this is not all that great of a thing, from an economic standpoint, this is very likely to bring SLS a lot of money with people logging in and testing the characters and saying that, yeah, but then they cannot test character A or B, which might be their favorite, is in my opinion a bit of it's quite a warped perception, because what you end up liking of a character might depend on your daily mood. Like if you, for example, decide on this day you like this character a lot and then you invest, like you just keep playing him, then you end up liking it more because you become better on it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you actually prefer its mechanics over something else that you're just bad with. For example, there are like characters in the game that I kind of like, but I just don't play them because I'm bad at them. Taya, for example. I like Taya, but I'm shit on Taya. I can't play the character, so I'm
What do you
not gonna
mean?
play it. And
I think
and
you're
I
good
have a
at.
lot of time to invest, or like I can invest time, and I feel like it might be the same with casual players. There might be characters they really like, but they're still not gonna play them because they're just too bad on them. So I feel like locking characters behind like a payment wall isn't, from a competitive standpoint, yeah, it's a bad thing to do. You don't want that. You want it to be like a fighting game or like Dota, right? Where you can have everything from the beginning.
Mm.
You can just select it and you can try everything. It's a competitive thing to do. But when we argue that 99% of the people in this game never give a shit about the competitive aspect anyway, well, then you can't have it both ways. You can't argue on the other end that they should have access to all the characters for the competitive merit. It doesn't work like that. Either they have access to all of it, but then they also compare about the competitive aspect, or they don't have access to it, or they don't care about the competitive aspect, but then they also don't need access to all the characters.
And fighting games has been doing the same thing now with locking characters. Street
Yeah,
Fighter
yeah.
5 has locked characters.
But that was terrible and nobody liked it.
Yeah, but that's
right?
different though. The fighting game community is a completely different one. It has always been looked down upon that characters are being
Yeah.
locked behind payment walls. Arc System Works, for example, is a company that makes some of the best fighting games in the industry. Arguably makes the best fighting games in the industry. Like you could buy Guilty Gear Xrd, for example, for the tutorial alone, it would be worth the $60
Mm.
just to get you into the genre itself. But people are still complaining that the games are niche. But that's because characters in fighting games have always been free. It's the same. For example, if you would be locking weapons in FPS right now, like if you, for example, had to unlock the orb on the cash shop in Counter Strike, people would complain, right?
Well, you do in Call of Duty, so
Oh, you do.
Wait, you
I don't
Call
play
do?
of
that. I
Duty
don't know.
Call of Duty locks, and I'm not a Call of Duty player. This is secondhand, but Call of Duty and Battlefields for a long time have locked more powerful weapons behind a progression system. That I do believe you can go through that progression system faster if you pay money.
That's
So,
just bullshit.
but
That's
also
interesting then.
Call of Duty and Battlefield are not really competitive games, no matter what the Call of Duty World League would like to tell you.
I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. I mean, they have pretty high stakes tournaments. They have a lot of people who watch it. I mean, there are a lot of people who play competitively Call of Duty. So, I mean, in my book, it's a competitive game. Whether or not I like it is irrelevant. But it is a competitive title.
It would have been
But
so
if
much
it
bigger if they had supported the pro mod scene back in Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, probably. But if we look at the traditional FPS like Counter Strike and Call of and Quake, right? Like if you lock weapons behind a paywall, it's gonna be an issue. But in MOBAs, it's different because the people are used to it, right? They're used to paywalls. Like League of Legends introduced the whole system. That's what the whole system is built upon. So people are not going to
Mhm.
complain about it. I feel it's not going to be an issue for the community.
No.
Just going to be an issue for some people. And I think SLS made the right decision with this. It's going to give them it's going to generate them more money. With more money, they can increase staff. With more staff, they can increase. They can push out more content. And if they can push out more content, there's going to be more players. Let's see if it works out. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we've all said that, at least in concept, we think this is a good payment model, right? I feel
Yeah.
like we've all said it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah. Are we gonna put that to rest? The free-to-play model? No one has an objection?
I think we should go back to early access again. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Kick
Tell you
out
what,
all these new
I've
players.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
kick them out again.
I've been speaking with Cliff Blazinski, and he tells me that you can charge $60 for an online multiplayer game, and you can create the next billion-dollar franchise, like with Lawbreakers. So we're gonna go do that, okay?
Okay. But yeah, pretty much we've been through all the topics of today. So right now, it's you, viewer, that I'm looking at. If you have anything you feel like could be a good discussion or a good topic, please post it. Please post it in the chat, and yeah, we will talk about it.
How good is Nystaya? Could be one.
Nice
I mean-
tire is always a good debate.
Maybe we should analyze some replays on stream, you know. And I think that would
My
be
tire.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. There's not going to be a lot of analyzation going on. Like, you don't have a lot of stuff to analyze there.
I mean, I think we have a lot of stuff to analyze.
It's going to be a push into the corner. And then I'm going to be like, okay, fuck this character. I'm playing something else.
So nothing in the chat so far. Hopefully someone is writing a wall of text and we can talk about that.
I think we should take a moment to talk about Lawbreakers. I think that's it.
State of the game. Okay, how do you feel about Twitch crates?
It's good.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I think
You
it's good.
actually stream, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Of course,
stream,
learning
so
things good.
I'm
He's
an-
getting money from it.
I'm not really fucking that. I'm not a streamer. I just stream because of stream, and I don't stream because I fucking want to be a big
I mean-
streamer. That's basically
Mhm.
what.
I mean, I have never been, and I don't know if I'm gonna say I never will be a personal streamer because I have the personality of a wall of rock. But from the people I do know who do stream games competitively or professionally, this is just another way for them to get money and another way for regular streamers to kind of develop. You know, if Taldo isn't making enough money from subscriptions and donations, he now has just an extra source of income. And I think that's nothing but good.
I mean,
don't-
it's
I don't have
more of
any
a.
opinion on it because I don't really watch Twitch at all.
I mean,
But
I think
I think it's just.
It's like
I'll
YouTube
keep
gaming.
interrupting you. I think it doesn't harm anyone, right? So it's not
Mhm.
nothing but positive.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of a wave because, for example, I watch Jolts a lot, and I know there is people that watches Jolts a lot as well. He has some dedicated viewers, you know.
I felt bad
And-
for Mullet. Oh my god, he's really
He
wanted
spent
that
so
mount.
much money.
He really wanted that mount, and he just
He got
didn't.
it in the end, though.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah, he spent $60 on it. But I mean, yeah, so there's people that are gonna do it. And I mean, it's another way for them to support the streamer they like, right? And it's another way for the streamer to keep playing the game. And I mean, that's important that they keep the streamers they have. Because
Mhm.
at some point, you know, Summit and all these that they are paying to play the game. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's the
paying
case. I don't know if that's the
Like,
case with
yeah.
Summit, but you know, it is people they are paying to play the game, obviously. So I mean, they are gonna stop playing the game at some point, and then you need streamers that will keep on playing the game.
That
For
would-
example, if Jolts and Taldo just suddenly stops playing the game and never streams it again, then there is no real other streamer that's gonna be as big as them. So you kind of need to have something that makes them want to play the game still.
Mm-hmm.
Or is
And
there?
sorry.
Or is there? Wouldn't the viewers that were watching Joel's or Tell just look for another stream to follow in the
Yeah,
same
who?
game?
No.
All this? They're gonna watch all this play?
No, I don't. No,
They don't watch for the gameplay. They watch for the
now.
personality.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that Teldo is an incredibly naturally gifted entertainer, right? He is, yes, good at the video game, but he is an incredibly gifted entertainer. And that's why
That's a-
people watch him over Klerny. I apologize, Klerny, but that's why people watch him over Klerny. That's why he has 700 viewers right now. Because he is brilliant at being an entertainer. And
it's
if he
not
stops
really
streaming,
true.
if he stops streaming, ouch, okay. If he stops streaming, then I don't think there's anyone who can immediately fill that void because anyone else who's streaming the game at a lower viewership count is probably at that lower viewership count because they're not as good at drawing in viewers. And I know Clooney's about to start some streamer beef, so go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna start. I'm just saying that Taldo has been pro in multiple games. He was pro in League of Legends. He was pro in Overwatch, and he's been pro for a long, long time.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I wouldn't say in that case it's the personality. I would
no.
more say that it comes to he has been pro for such a long time. They gain a steady viewer base from being such a good player in so many games. You know.
Yes. And I do think that having great gameplay matters. But the question I think Mr. Two is kind of referring to is the fact that there are other people who are as good as Teldo, right? There are other people who are skilled, if not more skilled than Teldo. That's not why he has viewers. The reason he has viewers is because he's a talented entertainer alongside being skilled, and there isn't anyone who can fill that vacuum. If there was, they'd already have 300 viewers.
I mean, Jolts. I would say
Yes.
Jolts and Neo are the
But
big.
yeah, exactly. They fill that vacuum. They already have an audience, and anyone else would be there or isn't there. And maybe new people will develop, but they're not there yet. And if you want to have a homegrown streaming audience for Battle Right, you sort of need to be building it now. You sort of need to be developing it now. And the people we have are likely going to be the top streamers for a long time going forward.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing much to it. If you're a good player and you're a good entertainer and you have been streaming for a while, you're gonna probably have a bigger. I mean, you're gonna get a bigger. I guess the personality is the biggest thing in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to if people like your personality, they're gonna watch your stream, and it also comes down to how long you have streamed and so on. I think there's most streamers in Battle Right have not been streamers before, and they become streamers, or bigger, or at least streamers, because of Battle Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess they have kept that because they are just good at the game and they are fun entertainers.
Yeah, I'm an awful entertainer. That's why I don't
Don't
get
say
viewers.
that. You're a beautiful, entertaining man.
No,
but I mean, to get viewers in the first place, you need to you can't be a. Is it okay? I guess some are having the personality where they can be trash at literally every game, and people will still watch them because they are so fun. But that is, I don't think you can find many fucking examples of that in the whole world. That's very rare.
He's calling you trash.
He's calling me trash. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But at some point, you need to be good at something to gain a player viewer base, and then keep it by being a decent personality as well. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not like you just gain. You don't gain viewers for your personality in the first place, unless you're a very, very special snowflake.
I mean, as I think Jeremy Barrison in the Twitch chat has a very good point. If you take a look, the reason people watch streamers like Niwa is because they wear the freshest clothes, eat at the chillest restaurants, and hang out with the hottest
Can we
dudes.
keep the copy pastas out of the voice comms? Come on. Next
But
time you're gonna tell me Battle Riot can
What the
only be
fuck did
played
you
by
say to me?
Asians because
I'll have you know that I have 300 confirmed kills in our
play
rank.
this game. How can you play this game in 2 minutes with 9 abilities? It needs to be removed, man.
So, okay, let's move on to next topic. There was a topic, state of ranked in terms of the game being balanced around 3v3 and a lot of people still preferring 2v2 and solo queue.
It's the same as
People
Rocket League.
2v2 because it's simple, right? You
Yeah.
don't need to think a lot. You can just hop in. If you have one friend, you can play it. If you're going for solo queue, it's easier to carry than if you get two really bad players in 3v3. So there's a lot to say for people that enjoy 2v2. But that doesn't mean the focus shouldn't be on 3v3, even if it's not the most played game mode. And right now, SLS balances around 2v2 and 3v3, and they try to keep both in check. And sometimes that shows in their balancing decisions, where they come up with incomprehensible changes for us as top players, because they're made with 2v2 in mind.
Yeah.
And again, going back to World of Warcraft as an example, 2v2 still is the most popular game mode there, even though it's been years since they removed all the rewards from 2v2. And I think you can do the same in Battle Royale. You balance after 3v3, all the rewards are from 3v3, and people will still play 2v2. There's nothing wrong with that.
I
But
don't
should
think
we
there's a
do it?
reason. I don't think there's a reason you need to encourage 3v3 play. I think people will pivot to threes naturally when it comes to competitive play. It's already been acknowledged as the primary competitive mode, and I think it's fine as it is. I know there's a lot of people would really like it if 100% of the balancing decisions could make perfect sense for 3v3 and 2v2 wasn't acknowledged, but the majority of the player base is always, I think, going to prefer 2v2. So you let them enjoy that, you make it the best mode it can be while not sabotaging 3v3, and you try your best to balance the two. And no, that's not the perfect world competitively, but unfortunately, I think it's the world we live in.
I mean, you can change that over time as well. You can basically make players think that 3v3 is the better mode. You can make it's gonna be slow that you make people go from 2v2 to 3v3. But I mean, there's ways you can make it. For example, you make more rewards for 3v3, you make better rewards for 3v3, just stuff like that. So that's gonna make people play 3v3, and that's gonna in the end probably also make them think that it's better.
I think it's crucial that you do that by making 3v3 better, not by making 2v2 worse, though, because I do always think that people are just going to prefer 2v2 when they join the game. And if you can then super quickly transition them over to 3v3, that's ideal. But it is perfectly fine to have kind of 2v2 as a landing pad for newer
Yeah,
players.
of course.
And
2v2
I
is
don't
best
think,
for
I
life.
think if we, sorry, I think if we sabotage 2v2 in order to prioritize 3v3, then you sabotage the new player experience, and that's not great.
I quite frankly disagree with that. The problem is that when you start playing with 2v2, you're getting accustomed to the 2v2 playstyle. You're never going to change to 3v3 because you feel helpless, which means you're instantly going to abandon 3v3 as soon as it doesn't go well and you go back to 2v2, which means you're never going to switch unless you're a competitive player.
That's
That's
true.
what the casual is going to do. Like, they're going to see I win in 2v2, but I lose in 3v3. Why the fuck would I play 3v3? And they go back to 2v2. So you need to
But I,
encourage 3v3 from the get go.
mhm.
And not even, like, you can let them play 2v2, but you need to basically rub the 3v3 into their face and be like, play this. And then, like, on the side, yeah, by the way, you can, but you could also play this.
Yeah, it's two different play styles. You play completely different when you play 3v3, and
Yeah,
if
and
you
if you
never
get,
adapt to 3v3 play style, it will feel you will feel like you're useless when you get into a 3v3 game.
yeah, and once you're accustomed to 2v2, you're not going to switch to 3v3 because it simply is too much work. Like, you don't have an incentive if you don't spend a lot of time. That's just how it is.
In an ideal world, I'd like it to be comparable to the way Counter Strike onboards players. If you start playing Counter-Strike, you're restricted from the main competitive mode, and you're encouraged to play team deathmatch, various gun game type modes. And only once you played a certain degree of that, you're familiar with the game, does the competitive mode unlock. And the competitive mode, once you start playing it, it's completely different, except in like vague concept from anything that you played up to that point. But it is also obviously a much more tactical mode, a much better team coordination mode, and I think that's what they need to do. Is sure, newer players are always going to gravitate towards 2v2, perhaps even battlegrounds, but once they feel comfortable, push them towards 3v3 because it is blatantly better, not because they can't keep playing 2v2.
There's
But isn't
one
that
big
actually what
difference.
I suggested? Like what I said the first thing, because you play that match CS:GO, but you don't get anything from it. Yeah, if you're lucky, you get a chest drop at the end of the match, maybe. But other than that, you don't gain anything, right? You don't have rankings, you don't get rewards, which is essentially what I suggested at the start, right? With my WoW comparison. So you need to just have having a 2v2 ladder is fine, but then you need to remove rewards. You don't get the GC mount from twos, you don't get titles from twos, you don't get diamonds or tokens or whatever they're called from twos, and then people can play twos, you can learn the game from twos, but all that time you feel like I need to play threes if I really want to get the most out of my game.
I mean, I also felt that the comparison itself was fairly lackluster. I mean, I might not have ever played Counter-Strike on Silver Star level, but I remember pubs in 1.6 and Counter-Strike Source, and they looked like death matches, whether or not there were deathmatch or not. And I'm pretty
The-
sure that if you play competitively on Silver Star level, it's probably not going to look all that different.
Disagree. I
Does it?
think, well, maybe it won't look that different, but when you're playing a competitive game, even if you're terrible at the game, the difference between playing gun game and playing the competitive game of Counter Strike is distinct, and it's highly preferable to almost everyone, even if you're terrible at it, to play that competitive mode. And I think that's what Battle Royale should be looking to replicate.
Yeah, but in general, it's still an FPS. Whether or not you play a gun game or a deathmatch, it's gonna be almost the exact same experience. You have a gun and you shoot
That's
people. If you're good at
that's the same
aiming,
for Battle Royale.
no, it is
If
not.
you're,
It's a
but
character-based
mechanically,
game. It's a character-based game with abilities and with synergies that completely change between two and threes. Like it's not necessarily only about hitting your abilities. It's about knowing when to, for example, do something. It's a completely different scenario than
mhm.
Counter Strike. They're not comparable in the slightest. That is
I
like saying
I
StarCraft is an art is the same as Counter Strike because you have aim your units.
No,
I
I
I
disagree there. Because
think.
you
Sorry.
can go first.
Uh, I think that the reason that comparison is so fun for me is because the mechanics of both Battle Royale and Counter Strike are functionally the same between deathmatch and competitive play. But if you're playing competitive Counter Strike, your positioning matters much more. How you're thinking about the enemy matters much more. It is a completely different game, but not because any of the mechanics change. And I think that's the same for Battle Royale. If you're playing Battlegrounds, yes, you're still playing the same game. Yes, you're still controlling your character the same way, but functionally, it's completely different from how you play
Uh,
3v3 Arena, not because the mechanics change, but because the way you have to approach the game changes.
That is just shifting the goalpost now because nobody was talking about battlegrounds. We're talking about 2v2.
Same
Yes,
thing
I,
would.
I think it's the same. I was using Battlegrounds as a more distinct example, but I do think it's the same thing.
I mean, in CS, if you compare that match, you play around with all the weapons, you just run out and shoot at whatever spawns, right? But when you go into competitive, you need to manage an economy, you need to buy certain weapons that are only considered viable, you need to know the positions that you need to play,
Mhm.
you're using flashes and smokes, which you don't in that matches, obviously. And it's a completely different game, so I think the comparison is quite alright.
Yeah, but aren't you only experienced at high level of competitive play in Counter Strike?
We're running
Disagree.
out of time, guys. So
hmm
if someone
I
has
think
something
it's a
really important, then say it now.
I think it's a tangent anyway to discuss Counter Strike. What I would like to see is encouraging a competitive atmosphere in 3v3s. If they ever had a voice chat, I'd love it if it was exclusively added to 3v3s. Add
No.
features that make 3v3 feel more competitive. as opposed to detracting things from 2v2.
Okay. So yeah, guys, we're running out of time. So I think closing statements or shout outs or whatever you have, like I think it's time for that now. And TJ, you have anything to add?
I think Battle Right as a casual game has never been more fun. I think Battle Right as a competitive game is only getting started, and I can't wait to see what the concentration of upcoming tournaments does to the level of team play, the level of coordination, the consistency of teams in the future weeks.
Yeah. Eoekas?
No.
No.
I don't have anything to add. We've discussed pretty much everything. I mean, I can do a troll shout out again, but it'll be a bit repetitive. So
Shout out to Kohaka.
shout out to Kahaki. We had some great twos games yesterday. We should totally play again. It was great, man. I love you.
And he actually said he's gonna watch the show, not today, but watch the VOD. So he's gonna hear it.
I know me and Kahake, we are true brothers, you know. I mean, you might not know when you see my public face, right, where I post on Reddit about SLS and their days at work and how they play out. But me and Kohake, we in
You're
the
like
private
this.
sphere, we are really good brothers and maybe even lovers. So you know, it's really complex.
So, Klerny?
Fucking watch my stream. I guess I'm fucking #1 player in the world. So we can continue.
Is that twitch.tv/Klerny? Is that where that is?
Yep.
So if I wanted to watch your gameplay, which is really high level support gameplay, I should
No,
go over
it's
to
not.
Twitch.
It's not
God,
even really
if I
high.
wanted to watch,
It's the best you can possibly
okay, I
find
apologize.
in the whole of internet.
I
There's
apologize.
there's no other place you can find such high level gameplay.
If I wanted to watch the highest level gameplay available on the internet, I would head on over to twitch.tv/Klerny
Yes, and subscribe.
Yeah.
and subscribe and buy loot boxes.
It's
Awesome.
really
Yep.
unfortunate we can't witness it tomorrow.
I know I can't stream. I can't stream.
I feel. How are you depriving the world of the highest level gameplay that's ever existed? That's just selfish. I'm upset.
Anyway, Nee, any closing statements or anything? Shout
I
outs?
just hope we get more tournaments. And if you go from the stream and continue to watch streams, like probably a bunch of the viewers do, please don't watch Taldo, watch Niwa instead.
God.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm an Ewa mod. I totally agree.
So am I, that's why I said it.
So, yeah, thanks guys for being on the show, and I'm gonna just say it again. We announced Masters of Bacon #2. Our tournament coming out. Qualifiers will start in November and December, and with final event coming out in January. The schedule will be on the homepage, and there will be a donation button and everything. And if you donate more than $5, you will get an avatar, an in-game avatar of Bacon. So, yeah.
Hella worth. I
What?
would call it hella worth.
Hella worth, yeah. So you better get your Bacon money out. And, yeah. I'm just gonna say thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being on the show, guys. It's been a pleasure. And, yeah.
Follow all this.
Huh?
Follow all this.
Follow all this, yeah. So, we need to find someone to give the viewers to, because I don't want to let the viewers just leave. I think I
give
know.
them.
Host Summit. No.
I think I know who.
Someone
who to
won't
host.
even notice.
So
I'm just saying this. Niwa is streaming right now. I'm a mod in Niwa's chat. I think it's pretty clear here.
yeah,
You should support the North American community over the European one.
yeah.
They
I think
need the
we
help.
should
They
support
need the help.
an upcoming new streamer that we don't yet know yet. As if we scroll to the
Oh,
bottom
shit.
where it has like no viewers, I think we should promote one of them, get them out there. You know, they like Jackasm right there, one viewer. I think we should host that guy. I'm sure he's a new and upcoming individual. It's gonna be great for the scene.
What was his
Did
name?
you
You
just
said?
say-
Shout out to Jackasm.
Jackasm. I've
One
never
viewer,
heard.
I think we should go for him.
But is Jack streaming?
Who is Jackass? Never heard about that guy.
Does he only have one viewer? That's kind of sad. I think we should help him out then.
Wait, is he streaming right
Yes.
now?
Oh,
Yes, he's
in the
streaming
is
right now.
hold up, no, In the Flesh is apparently live. Can I advocate for an ITF host?
E versus NA. I think E wins.
Yeah, but NA needs the help. It's like doing charity work. You don't give all your money to rich people, you give the money to the poor people. NA needs the extra help.
Can't argue with that. Yes.
So to make a decision, you want to troll Jackasm or you want to?
No,
Help
I
American
think we're
streamers.
sending it to In the Flesh.
Oh.
Wow, are you just hitting your teammate with that, Mr. Two?
Wait, we're not teammates anymore.
Oh my god, the betrayal.
Wow.
Sensing some
What?
personal,
Yeah,
personal drama
what
here.
have we missed here? Missed something.
I'm washed up and I'm not good enough for him. He wants to play with a Paloma and Varish.
Averse, is that you?
So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a good evening.